But if you, based on what we just said, you would say, well, somebody with a 1-3 profile, there's going to be a lot of inner, a lot of their
Internal
journey
stuff.
is going to be, yeah, in their own process. And then like a 4-6, they're going to be a lot about their relationships and learning through other people and outward expression, inward expression. So let's get on to the fun stuff and let's just talk about each line. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, the human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Today we're diving into
the human design profiles.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know if that'll ever get old. It may be old for everybody else out there, listeners. They're all going,
fast forward.
Yeah, they will. So I realized in our little intro we do, because we do record that each week. We don't have that pre-recorded, that we never say the name of our podcast. I guess you know it if you pulled it up on your phone or your desktop. Who listens? Anybody listen to desktop podcasts on desktops?
I don't.
Do you? No. I do have Spotify on my desktop, but I can't listen to a podcast on my desktop because I'd be working. And I can't do both. Anyways,
Nope.
I digress. But yes, this is the Human Design Hive podcast. And I don't know how else to work that into my intro. It's 5:44 p.m. here on the Human Design podcast. Oh, Human Design Hive podcast. I just claimed someone else's podcast.
Oh gosh.
Didn't mean to do that.
That was a good start. It was a great start. That's probably why we don't include our name.
Probably. So anyways, today we're going to go a little more into the chart here in the human design system and talk about the profiles. And this is fun stuff. I mean, not that the other stuff wasn't fun, but this gets to more into being able to kind of really dig into the personalities and how there's like typing systems, personality typing systems. This is probably closest to it. So,
personality type, like the
profiling,
or like the is it the Myers-Briggs test? Where you get like the 4 letters.
Yeah, the INFJ, INTJ.
Yeah, Ian, that one.
EN. DF. Have you ever taken Myers-Briggs?
I have.
You have any clue what you were?
Nope.
I've gotten a couple answers before, but that's what a lot of these personality typing tools.
I want to say maybe it was like INTJ or something. Maybe
I can guarantee you it started with an I, because that's for introverted.
I feel like I don't remember what the J is, but I feel like
it's judging, I believe. It's the thing is with that. Oh my God, it's the big long,
like
test
so
you
questions.
have to take, right? And it is interesting because like most of these profiling tools, they call them profiling, like Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, things like that, or even your latest, who does all the quizzes on
BuzzFeed. See what kind of muffin you are.
Yeah. Is that they are subjective, meaning you provide the answers based on generally what you think about yourself.
Yeah.
I think Myers-Briggs, I can't remember, it's been a while since I took one, has you kind of think of yourself, I think sometimes in a work environment, or is that right? Okay.
I think so.
But still, I've listened to a lot of people talk about this even before human design, that the subjective part of it, but also it's interesting because you answer a lot of the Myers-Briggs on how you would like to be perceived, not necessarily how you are perceived. You know what I mean? So you're trying to be honest about yourself, but there's this built-in almost flaw in the system because it's going through your own filter, your own lens.
Yeah.
And which we
It's
talked
like
about in
it'll
conditioning.
it'll say like, how would your friends describe you? And you're like, I think they would describe me like this. You're like, that's how I want
Yeah,
to be.
I'm loyal and kind
And funny.
and fun, and I have the biggest heart. Not judgmental at all.
Oh.
Whereas your friends are like, oh my God, she's always telling me what to do. I mean, she's right, but she's always telling us you. So this is where human design is different because it is using your time, date, and place of birth. And so it's very specific to you, your profile, just like the type, your authority, all those things, and everything in your chart is very specific and unique to you. And all of us are going to be different because we are all over the world in different places, different times, different years, different everything. So there's a lot of variation there. And there are these groupings, so to speak, like type, which type, if you were thinking about a story, type would be the main role or archetype that you play, like mother, daughter, friend, boss, villain, whatever. Did I just group boss and villain together?
Maybe.
I didn't mean to. Anyhow, and then so profile then would be the character that you are playing this time. So one time, it could be a mother who is named Mary Jane Phillips as your grandmother, So when you're thinking about profile, that's how it is. I'm a generator, but I'm a 4-1 profile. So we're going to go into a little bit more what that means here in a second.
So it kind of just adds a little more definition.
Yeah, it's like I said, it digs into more about how you express the role as a generator. And so type really does, it shows you how you interact with life and with others. And if someone, like we said, if someone were to describe you as a friend, a lot of times profile would be, it would give a lot of very interesting, pretty accurate snapshot of the kind of person that you are and how you interact with others. And I think when I first looked into my profile or saw what it was, well, actually the first time I had an inaccurate chart, which was my fault because I thought I was born at 6:06 a.m., but I found my birth certificate and found it was 6:06 p.m.
Well, you had the time right.
I did. A little 12-hour difference, but it made a difference because when I had the inaccurate time, I was a 4-6 profile. Your profile is going to be a combination of two numbers. And it made me, when I put in the correct time, my correct profile is a 4-1, which makes a big difference in the sense that it's a different profile for one, but it's also kind of cool because 4-1s are not as common as a lot of the other types. So like I said, profile, it tells you about your learning style, your relationship styles, kind of the purpose that you're here, the role, how you're going to fulfill that role. It tells you what you need to feel grounded and solid when making choices. And it's pretty cool because it's pretty accurate as a tool to evaluate someone and kind of give a feel of what behaviors they might exhibit, what their temperament might be like, communication style. It's the closest thing to a lot of this profiling, or even like something as broad as a sun sign. All Scorpios are like this, which this is a little more specific than that, but it's the kind of thing that I believe we've already referred to it on the podcast when we're talking to each other.
Yeah,
I'm a
because
line one.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
There's that line two. Yeah,
All of
that's
the
what we're
information.
That's right. So your profile is a specific combination of the 6 lines of the hexagram. They pair to create this profile. So when you're looking at your body graph, which I hope listeners, either you have it committed to memory or you're looking at yours now, or you are going to be able to readily reference one, so you know what we're talking about.
Committed to memory.
Yeah. It's like a snapshot. There are people that might have photographic memories. No, I don't have it committed to memory. I mean, I know my profile. I mean, you should know eventually, if you're really looking into it, your sun and earth placements are the most important. You don't.
No, that's why I have the newbie title.
That's okay. That's okay. That's why I'm the specialist. But really, I'm just the obsessive one. It doesn't sound good to say. I'm the human design obsessed person. Anyways, when you're looking at the body graph, on the top two numbers, the top number on the either side of the body graph, you have the glyphs of all the planets. The planets have numbers, which are the gates. So you'll see. Okay, we'll just use me for an example, since I know mine. It would have on the sun and the earth, on the personality side, which is on the right side, which would be in black, I have 14.4, and for the sun, and the earth is 8.4. And then on the other side, the red side on the left, the design side, the body side, it is 59.1 in the sun, 55.1 in the earth. So you take the point number is...
Will that always be the same between the sun and the earth?
Yes.
They'll always end with the same point? The same decimal point?
Yes. Well, I mean, for each person, yes. So if you have if your sun is...
on each side, right?
Yeah.
On each side.
Yeah. So they'll both be... So mine's a 4-1. So, because it's... Yeah, you're correct.
Okay.
So we talked about how this point number is based on the hexagrams, the I Ching component of it. So the 0.4 is actually a line 4. So if you're looking at a hexagram, there's going to be 6 lines stacked on top of each other, and it starts at the bottom as line 1, moves up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So lines 1, 2, 3 are referred to as the lower trigram, and 4, 5, 6 are referred to as the upper trigram. And so that's just the I Ching. That's how the I Ching works.
But tri is 3, and that's only 2.
Upper trigram, lower trigram is 3 groupings. It's a grouping of 3. It's 2 groupings of 3. It's 6 lines. Trigram. How you like that graphic? People can't see that, but
there was finger movements.
There's movement. So each line in the hexagrams has a specific expression or personality for the gate that it represents or that it's attached to. Because like we said, gate 14, as the sun sits in gate 14 for roughly 6 days, it's going to go through each line of the hexagram. It'll start out in 14.1, then go to 14.2, 3, okay? Mm-hmm. So mine is in 14.4. So the line 4 energy is a specific energy that influences how that gate is expressed. So like this is just another layer when you look at it, because you'll have all these people. You're a 6-2. You'll have all these, there's lots of 6-2s out there, but there's 6-2s from anywhere from gate 1 to all the way to, gate 64. There's lots of variations there. So for you, I don't even know what your sun gate is right now. I think it's gate 26, we said.
I don't know.
Lord. See, I don't have everything committed to memory. I do have a lot of charts.
You can tell, I can pretty much just ask you someone in our, our family or our friend group or whatever, and I can ask you what type they are or what type they
Type's
are.
easy.
And you know it.
Yeah, type's the easy one. There's only 5 of those.
You said there's only so many profiles too.
There's 12 profiles.
We haven't said it yet. We haven't said it yet, but
no. So I wanted to, before I get to, because it would be helpful in this conversation. Yes. Oh no, I was wrong. That's the unconscious sun is in 26. Your personality, the conscious side, you're 63. I should know that. So you have 63 in the sun, 64 in the earth. 63.6, 64.6. And then
so
on the design side. Mm-hmm.
In the profile, the personality side is listed before the design side?
Yes, it's always going to be the personality side first and then the design side. So it's pretty easy once you figure that out, you can see that. But also, if you just look at your chart on Genetic Matrix or anywhere really, it'll just tell you what your profile is. So what's good to know about these expressions is that, like I said, a line 1 has a certain expression, line 2 has an expression of the gate. And so these are going to be, when we talk about profile, as we are today, we're just going to talk about the lines individually, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because it's too much to put in an episode to do all 12 profiles. Because basically these pairings of numbers, because of how it moves and everything else around the wheel, which I do not have that grasp on because that's very technical. We're not going to do that. But
so we're just going to talk about like the individual lines.
Because basically all of us are going to have 2 of these lines that make up our profile. And so it can be in different combinations. I'll just say that the lower trigram numbers, the 1, 2, and 3, when you have a line 1, 2, or 3 in either part of your profile, whether it's the first number or the second number, these are going to be parts of your personality that are more internal and they're more interpersonal, meaning you're going to learn about or express or learn through in a more personal way in that energy. And then when you have a 4, 5, 6, depending on where it is, the upper trigrams are more what they call transpersonal, meaning they involve other people. So it's expressions so like if a 14-4, like mine with that line 4, it means that energy expressed is going to have a lot to do with other people. And we'll get into how a line 4 expresses. It's a lot about relationships, but probably that theme of that gate, that line or that gate 14 is going to have a lot to do with my relationships because it's a line 4 energy, which we'll go through in just a second. So what's also cool is that since there is these bottom 3 lines, top 3 lines, the trigrams, if you were to take that top part, the 4, 5, 6, and just stack it next to the 1, 2, 3. So you take the top off, stack them next to each other. So you have 2 sets of 3 lines. You could see how the bottom of each one, there's the 1 is on the bottom, the 4 is on the bottom, 2 and a 5, 3 and a 6. And so there's like this harmonious relationship because they kind of express in similar ways. 1 and a 4 are like foundational themes, but one might be, the line 1 would be more personally foundational to yourself. The other one might have to do with how you might be a little more outgoing because it's about other people. I could get into more of that, but if you want to read about that, there's lots of sources out there that can get more in depth. I always like to refer to Karen Curry Parker's book's really good, Understanding Human Design. And then another good one, a different perspective on things, is by Chetan Parkin, which is just called Human Design. And I'll put those in the show notes so people can check that out. Anyways, basically, we are all a balance of both, kind of this internal and external journey through life and how we're going to navigate, move through life.
So will a number from the lower trigram always be paired with a number from the upper trigram? Like you can't have like a 1-1?
No, yeah. Well, no, that's not true. You can have a 1-3. There is a 1-3 profile. Oh. Yeah.
Is that the only one that kind of...
Yeah. Nope. I answered too quick.
Never mind.
Because there's a 4-6.
Oh.
Yeah, there's 1-3 and a 4-6.
That's the same kind of.
Well, thing. What you can,
hand motions again.
Hand motions. But if you, based on what we just said, you would say, well, somebody with a 1-3 profile, there's going to be a lot of inner, a lot of their
internal
journey
stuff
is going to be, in their own process. And then like a 4-6, they're going to be a lot about their relationships and learning through other people and outward expression, inward expression. So let's get on to the fun stuff and let's just talk about each line. Okay.
Yes.
And we're going to start at line 1 because it's a foundation and that's where we're going to start. I'm also going to tell you that I'm going to give you the traditional human design name for the lines as delivered by Ra Uru. And then I'm also going to give you the quantum human design name, which Karen Curry Parker has. She's kind of working a whole new language for human design, and it's a lot more, I know I've talked about it before, I think. I don't want to use the word positive, but it's just a more
modern,
advanced languaging of, I find more helpful at times. And I like the way that she looks at human design, which is very much traditional, but with just more, now that we have the information, what do we do? How do we grow with it? How do we evolve through it? So anyways, I think her names for the for the human design profiles are kind of helpful to reframe what they actually do. So line 1. Okay. Line 1 is in traditional human design referred to as the investigator, and in quantum human design as the resource. And so, as we said, this is a foundational line of the lower trigram. As such, line 1s have a theme of building foundations, and they find security in knowledge, information, researching, want to know everything. Information makes them feel safe. I am a line 1. I have a 4-1 profile.
Does that really resonate?
I can tell you, when you first, this is pretty telling. I think when you first look at human design and you type, you might be like, I don't know if that's right. Authority, you're like, what? But when you start reading about your profile, you're like, oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Yes. These are people who are very curious by nature. Information helps them feel secure. So yes. It's a very introspective, needs a lot of time alone, needs to understand things before they act. And as we've all learned in my family, our family, that yes, I am the researcher. I am the one that's going to have the information. You pointed out, I think before, it's annoying to you when I have to look up everybody in the movie to know where I saw everybody from before.
Just
a
little bit.
But everything, where we're going to go to dinner, or where we're going to go on vacation. Oh my gosh, booking airline tickets is like the worst. I have to know every possible route.
I just go on Google Flights.
Oh no, I figured there's so much more to know. But I do. I research everything. When I go to the grocery store, I'm like looking at labels, ingredients, whether or not one's better than the other, if I've heard of it before. I have actually looked at reviews for like spaghetti sauce in the while I'm at the grocery store before, because I hate to buy the wrong sauce. But I do. I research everything. But, this is where the term the resource comes in, because the reason I learn all that stuff is for safety. It does make me feel good to have a lot of knowledge about something.
And I don't watch the news. I ask you for the news.
Thankfully, I'm cut back on what I watch down to almost like a 15-minute diet. But I say these people, but myself included, needs to have this information before acting, because you got to have a strong foundation, and information creates strong foundations. And when you think about what role that would play out in the human story, well, somebody has to know the thing so that it can tell the other people the information that they need. It's an important part in the human story. But like you said, you learn all this stuff, and then you are seen as a resource or a go-to person who knows a lot. Now, one of the challenges with being such a resource, I'll say it nicely, line 1s, is that it's a foundational thing, like we said. So it's maybe hard for line 1s to make change easily, and can feel really uncomfortable if they don't have enough information and they don't know enough. This can lead to being often over-prepared, too much information, and then really you can start having all this information, think you know everything, think you've got it figured out, planned out in your head, and then if it doesn't go like you think, it can cause a lot of anxiousness or worry that maybe you didn't have enough information. It's kind of it's a slippery slope sometimes. And it gets you stuck in a place of never sometimes making a decision. But this is where your strategy and authority can come into play, or really your authority can help you kind of get out of your head for a line one. So also in relationships, that would mean that line ones tend to, whether in friends or romantic partners, they need to study their partners and probably learn as much as they can about the person, before they kind of commit to it. And I just laugh because I can't believe that just occurred to me for the first time because because your father, the quick story is Haley's father likes to say that I quote unquote stalked him, which is not true. This is him talking. No, I just I did many, 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 many years ago when I met your dad. We used to go to the same bar club where bands played. And the first time I saw him, I was on a date with someone else, and I broke up with him on the way home. Because I was like, that guy over there looks more my type. And then
already weren't feeling the guy that you were on the date
I wasn't callous or anything because as we can probably, it's funny, we'll come back to this later as another point, but we're laughing because I then for the next 2 or 3, at least 3 weeks, went to the same place and just kind of never said anything to him. Just be like, oh, there's that guy over there. He's so cute. Oh,
you were just observing. You were taking it in.
I had to know if he had a girlfriend. I had to know what he was like with his friends. I had to know if he got crazy drunk, which he did not. He did have a girl with him once, but the next time she wasn't there anymore. But, I was observing to see how he was, if I thought he was cool or not. And I was just really intimidated. But anyways, which would tell you something because I normally wouldn't have cared. So that is funny. I did study him for a while. That's fun. Well, okay, moving on. We could talk about me all day. So line ones and the highest expression are really knowledgeable people. And then because they just gather all that knowledge, like we said, but in a more lower expression of that energy, they can be really just almost terrified of the unknown and can really miss out on lots of life experiences because they're too busy questioning them and trying to find out more in order to feel safe.
Analysis paralysis.
It can happen. It's true. So like I said, the main overarching quantum purpose of the line ones are to lay the foundation of information for the security and safety of everyone. So that's the line one. Okay. So I believe Presley's a line one. I think
that would make a lot of sense if he is.
I think he's a 1-3. Pretty sure. Yeah, he's a 1-3 as to the best of our knowledge because we know his birth time. We had that, right?
Yes. It makes a lot of sense that he has a 1 in his profile.
Yeah.
He's very much the information gatherer.
And it's important to note that he's a 1-3, and so that is a really strong part of his personality as well because it's his more conscious side, the line 1. He knows that about himself, right? It may have been really evident. Whereas I think maybe because I'm older, I've had more time to spend with myself. I've become aware of these patterns that I do. But even after I saw it, I've seen it play out more since I've had awareness of it and realized how much this is like a really strong part of my personality and really does play out. I don't know if I noticed it as much before. I probably wasn't conscious of it. I just figured everybody was like that. I just figured everybody just had to go down the rabbit hole of information. But I've since learned that a lot of people
Not
don't.
everyone.
Yeah, because there's only the 4-1 and the 5-1. So that have the 1 as the unconscious side. for the profile. So yeah, not everybody's like that. So we are resources. So that's it. Moving on. Line 2. We'll talk about this one probably a lot too, because you, my dear, are line 2.
Me.
Do you remember what the traditional human design name
is it the Hermit?
Yes, the Hermit. And the quantum human design name is the Responder. And so the Hermit
sounds better than the Hermit.
Yeah. Well, she calls it the Responder, but I often wonder if she's going to change that, because it is a different sense than the Generator. She doesn't want to get confused with Generators Respond, because you're a projector. Yeah. But it's more because a hermit that everybody thinks of, like pulled alone in their cave. They're just like, I don't really care what's going on out there. I'm doing my own thing in here.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. And as such, hermits, line 2s, do like to have a lot of time alone. It's part of your process. And I always refer to, and a lot of people do, but I like to refer to as the line 2 as the natural. You're a natural learner. And I have seen this in other line 2s, that you really can pick things up really quickly. When you learn something new, even if it's taught to you, you have an innate way of just doing it and knowing how to do it. And it might be in your own way. It might be a little different. And somebody might say, well, how did you know how to do that? And you'd be like, I don't know. I just, like when we both have iPads. I have the Procreate app, for drawing on my iPad. You do too. Mm-hmm. I swear. It was not easy. And, you took to it a lot faster. You were able to just kind of more intuitively kind of figure it out and how it works. Once you see something once or read it, you can just pick it up. Sometimes you don't even, have to see it. You just figure it out. And that's why people are like drawn to that energy, because they want to know what you know. And a lot of times you don't know how you know what you know, and can't figure out why anybody is interested in what you know or yourself, because you're just wanting to hang out in your own space. And it helps you integrate and process what you know. And so the responding part is your energy is designed to be called out by others. So that means that you can only hide for so long. It involves a process that knowledge is there to help others, right? So you can try and hide, but it's almost like the more you try and hide, the more time you spend alone, people will start to be like, hey, come on, you need to come out of your cave. We need to know what you know. So does any of that sound familiar to or resonate with you?
I don't know. We've said it before. I have a really hard time. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like recognizing myself, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't remember things. Like examples of things.
True. Well, I think this next part applies. It's this, line 2s can appear shy or coy, like people might think they're just trying to be, oh no, don't look at me. Or shyness. But there is a theme of shyness, loneliness, alone time, because you need that time to recharge. But like I said, you sort of have this vortex of energy around you that draws others to them. So it actually is a good energy for a projector or a generator, because, generators have to wait to respond for things to come to them, or, signs or people. Projectors need invitations. So you have that double, you're a 6'2", but any line 2 projector would have that double kind of energy of needing that alone time and to be in your own process and do your own thing. That is going to draw people to you. It's the same for a projector. A projector has to stand in their own value and do their own thing so that other people can recognize what they're needed for. So it's interesting to have a line 2 and be a projector. So in your relationships, this hermit energy tends to be shy, needs to be called out or recognized, like we said. Probably, think about how you met Presley. It was a dating app, so it kind of went both ways, I guess. But somebody had to swipe. Is it right or left?
I don't remember what the direction is. It was a long time ago.
I never
It
did
was
it, so I don't
Tinder.
know.
The dating app
Tinder.
was Tinder. We both had to swipe the same direction.
I know, but I don't know what direction that is. I mean, I always think like when they say, and this is for anything, not just Tinder, when they're like
Which
swipe
way does
right
it
on your
mean?
phone. Exactly.
It's like when they tell you the direction of the wind. The direction of the wind is where it's coming from, not where it's going. So then it's the same when they tell you where you're swiping. Am I swiping to the right or am I swiping to the left?
I don't know. When you swipe right, does that mean you start at the right side of the screen and swipe left?
Maybe, maybe.
This is the pressing question of our time.
I must know.
I don't know. I don't know. That is a good question.
I don't know. But we swiped the same direction.
Good thing I just met your dad at a bar. It was a lot easier. So in relationships then, because you require a lot of time alone, it would be good if a line 2 has a partner that also likes to have some time alone, or you enjoy spending time together alone, meaning just the two of you.
You're in the same place.
Yeah. You know, without the crowd having to go out all the time. You know, like you just like to hang out at home and kind of do your own thing in your own space. Whether I would say, you know, some people might say, oh, you like to spend time alone on the couch reading books. But I don't know if he does that anymore. He's probably playing video games and you might be on.
No, he may play video games for like an hour and then it's YouTube videos.
The YouTube. Men love the YouTube, don't they?
They do.
I mean, I like YouTube too, but
I don't really
I mean, I'm a line 1. He's a line 1. So maybe it's the line 1. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so this alone time thing doesn't mean like you need to be away from your partner if you need your alone time. It just means you just need your time, and you're going to have a healthy relationship if your partner can understand that about you and doesn't get like, you need to come with me or you don't spend time with me. Ugh, sounds horrible to me if somebody wants to be around all the time. But
yeah,
that
most times after dinner I just end up watching TV because I want to watch my shows, and then he'll go in his office and do whatever.
Okay, so line 2s then in the highest expression are designed to be called out into the right experiences. So they've got to be willing to come out. And in the lower expression, they tend to hide out too much and miss out on life because they need to come out of the cave. So the quantum purpose then of the line 2 is to take the knowledge that they know, their knowledge, integrate the knowledge and the wisdom and the energy and wait and be ready for others to call them out. So, okay, line 3s. Line 3, now this is going to be the top part of that lower trigram, 1, 2, 3. The line 3 is referred to in traditional human design as the martyr. And the quantum unit design is the explorer, which is such a better name.
Those have like 2 completely different connotations.
I mean, I have been learning human design for a while, and it's hard for me to wrap my brain around martyr. And it could be my background in being raised Catholic.
Catholicism.
Yeah.
I mean, when I hear martyr, that is, I wasn't raised Catholic, but that's still kind of where my head goes, is like a religious
somebody
martyr.
Who sacrifices themselves for a cause. Whereas the energy of the line 3 is an experiential learner. And so they are here to do just that, experience life and try things out. You know, they say there's this trial and error process, but none of it's really an error. It's a trialing process of how they learn. So they might gain information about something or want to learn how to do something. And there's going to be an aspect of their personality that no matter what they've seen, heard, learned, whatever, they're going to have to do it themselves to figure it out. There are no mistakes. They are just here to really try it, because they're then here to help share that information with the rest of us, you know? So they are here to be the experts in things and what works based on their own experience. So if you want to know how something works, ask a line 3. They probably have already tried it.
Do you know what daddy's is?
Well, I've been doing more observational studies of him, and I keep saying I was going to get out the pendulum, but I think he may be a 1-3.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is sometimes line 3s, they could have a lot of conditioning around this experiential learning and stuff. They may have been, they might get to a point where they kind of shut down and don't want to, experience or experiment a lot because they were told they were wrong a lot or making mistakes or they messed things up or they did it wrong, but they need to learn this way. And it's valuable to the rest of us because if you think about the line 1 is book learning and gathering information, to me seems more of a logical process, right? Mm-hmm. Of getting facts and information, which would be kind of that logical circuitry. And then on the other side with the more abstract, the knowing circuitry in human design is this learning through experience.
Doing it, touching it, feeling it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That stuff.
Yeah. And so they're all valuable. They're all valuable ways of learning, mm-hmm. and they offer different perspectives. And so they do need to give us the actual data, not just the hypothesis. They give us the data of how things work. So as such, line 3s need a lot of freedom of space and do their own thing to find that process. And so a lot of line 3s, you do have to give them kind of space to just figure things out on their own. And when we're talking about relationships with line 3, it's really important to take it a little bit slower because they might right away think, oh, this person's great for me, but then experience a little bit, oh, this person's not right for me, but they might be in too deep, hurt some feelings, So if they just take it a little bit slower and kind of feel out the relationship a little bit, it might be a little bit easier for them than just jumping in and out of relationships. So line 3s do, I think, kind of carry around a little bit of not baggage or damage, but just kind of, they may have been seen, especially if they're like a manifesting generator in a line 3. There's somebody that probably did do a lot of stops and starts and trying things, and people might think they're a little flaky or whatever because they're just always kind of moving into something new and trying it.
We do kind of give Daddy shit for not finishing his projects.
Oh, well, I don't anymore. I understand now. He's a manifesting generator. And whether or not the time is nailed down or not in his profile, he's either a 6-3 or a 1-3. I think he might be a 1-3, but he still has that line.
Still there.
Yeah, line 3 energy for sure. So for the line 3s, the purpose, the quantum purpose, first of all, let's talk about the highest expression of a line 3 energy, of course, is here to be wise in life based on experience. And mm-hmm. lower expression, if they're not really feeling into it, they can be afraid to try new things, and they won't really lean into that experiential energy because they've done a lot of trialing and erroring before, and like I said, it could bring baggage from the past, so they kind of get shut mm-hmm. down and afraid of trying. So therefore, the quantum purpose of the line 3 is to explore and experience possibilities and then share their experiences with others to protect and serve the rest of us, because they really are is that protection energy, because they're like, no, don't waste your time. I've done it. Don't even worry about it. I know it says
don't do that. I know what happens.
Exactly. And I think about my dear friend Tanya, who is a 1-3, and she's very much into health and wellness, and she went to school for holistic health coaching and all this stuff. So she has that researching energy that she is very aware of. She does really dig into things and understands how processes work and all this stuff. However, she then tries it out first before she ever really passes that knowledge on to people. And I would hear her doing it all the time. She used to work for a chiropractor. She'd be like, no, don't worry about that. Do this instead. Take this supplement doesn't really work with that. Do this instead. Like she's, mm-hmm. and her life has been a long journey of trying and seeing what works through her own health journeys. And it's very interesting to watch. Whereas me, definitely no line 3 energy. I just want information and I just want to share it. I don't like to make mistakes, but I've got to now and then. Gotta get through it. So that's the line 3.
So there's, which it may continue on with 4, 5, and 6, but with the first 3, it's a lot of gathering and having the knowledge and then sharing it.
Well, remember, because we said most of us have this combination of the intrapersonal and the transpersonal. So it is about how, what role we play in that sense and how we're going to externalize it. So moving on then to the line 4, which is the lower part of that upper trigram. So this is another foundational line. And here's another great name. Traditional human design name, the opportunist. Okay.
Sounds a little sleazy.
Sounds sleazy, right?
Yeah.
Because I thought a lot of times it's the opportunist, the networker. It's like, ooh, you just think of guys at networking meetings sliding you business cards and like, hey, I got a deal for you.
I swear it's not a pyramid scheme.
Most people were line 4s are like, oh, I don't like that. But the quantum human design name is the stabilizer.
That's better.
Yes, I would much rather be a resource stabilizer than
I like it since it's another foundational line. Like, you got to have a stable foundation.
Mm-hmm. And this is another level of the foundation. It's the foundation of the upper trigram of the transpersonal energies. And so we're moving in this from the lower trigram to the upper trigram. It's moving from one down foundation to another foundation. So the line 4 energy then becomes, they're a little more fixed in their ways. They're kind of uncomfortable with limbo and uncertainty. Relationships and connections are incredibly important to line 4. The line 4 energy is always about relationships, really, and how people interact.
Which, I mean, makes sense with the networking name of it, but networking has such a me connotation.
Yes. The line 4s are deeply caring, especially about their people, and are highly sensitive to judgment and criticism, which I just can't even imagine that.
Oh, not true at all.
So 4th lines, their opportunities, this is the opportunist part of it, I guess. Opportunities generally come to 4th lines through their relationships, their networks. So in life, I guess is another good energy for a generator because things will come to them. Their energy kind of draws people in, or a projector, but drawing people into them. So it says that 4th lines have a lifelong process of really getting to the foundation, what it really means to be in relationship with other people. Being another foundational line, they don't like to, I don't know if I said this already, they don't like making change very easily, want things to stay the same, and they want people to accept them as they are, never try to change them.
You kind of said that for the line 1, that they don't like change.
Yes.
So you really, really don't like change.
Really don't like change. And line 4s will, since they are this foundational thing that's about moving from that one foundational energy to another, they tend to not want to make changes or move on to like the next job or the next relationship or anything like that until they have another one already lined up. They need to know that they have another foundation to move to before they leave the one that they're on. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's got to be a strong one. And so they also, say that, I mean, I wouldn't know. I've been with your dad for 30 some years, that generally their ex-partners or whatever, even if they break up, they still can remain friends with their ex-partners because they build a foundation of friendship often before they move into relationship with people. So, they really get to know people. Let's see what else. So line 4 and their highest expression are consistent, stable, good friends. Good to their people. And in their lower expression, they can be afraid to maybe put themselves first, speak their truth, and fix things in relationships. they may just tend to like go find another one if they can, instead of kind of fixing the other one, because they, it's they'd rather create the alternative sometimes, so it's tricky.
That goes to the confrontation and criticism part of it that you talked about.
Yeah. So just from my own experience, again, this knowledge of these parts of my design have helped me kind of, I want to say, embrace that part of it and not feel so flawed that I'm just this like, because I'd always say I am flexible, but I need time. It's like I can move along, but I do need time to kind of integrate things to make a change. I've gone through some changes in life situations and stuff like that with people, possibly like moving into my house, like your cousin. And I want that, and that's good, but it takes time to adjust the idea of things. I got to know that everything's still going to kind of stay the same. And even though I know it won't, but I just need time to adjust to it. So the quantum...
I don't know why that reminded me of like a fish.
I don't know what you... Fish.
I don't know. It was kind of the face you made with it. I don't know.
Great. Now everybody thinks I have a fish face. They're like, when will they make this a video podcast?
Oh gosh.
I hope never. So the purpose, quantum purpose, line 4 is to lay the foundation of community and connection to prepare the way of sharing ideas and information. So that's the nice way to put it. So, okay. So moving on, line 5. It's funny because a line 5 is hard for me to explain. And it's funny.
The old name.
Yeah. What is it?
The heretic?
Yes, the heretic. The heretic, or as Quantum Human Design calls it, the visionary leader. Sounds so much better, right?
Yeah.
Line 5s have the energy that universalizes whatever's in the chart, meaning they, how do I explain it? It's one of those things that I can grasp. It's very wispy in my brain sometimes. So I'm just going to go with what I have here. I'm just going to say it. Okay. So line 5s can be seen to other people as either the savior for their problems or they're not. And this is where the heretic comes in, because they basically, the line 5 has what they call a projection field around them. They pretty much hold up a mirror. They're like an energetic karmic mirror to everyone around them. Okay. So this mirror helps others to align with their own energy and what needs to be healing. So an example might be a line 5 might have someone say to them, you're not really a good friend because you're always doing XYZ. And the line 5, it's very important for them to understand themselves and love themselves and have a good sense of self, because the line 5 would be like, no, that's what you do all the time.
That's you.
But they're just this karmic mirror. And so because of that, it does draw people to them. There is this energy, because when they see a line 5, they think they're awesome because they're like, they're seeing things in themselves that they want to see. Or sometimes they see the opposite. They see the not so nice things, and so they put it on that person instead of themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely, the mirror helps to kind of explain it, I think.
Yeah. And so they can be seen as more mysterious and seductive, kind of have this compelling energy around them. They can be very persuasive. They have more of a destined quality to their life path than they realize, because basically that energy is to be used to help others, but not everybody. Okay. So they're not for everybody. And so this is where, like I said, you have to have, as if you're a line 5, have a good sense of yourself and who you really are, because quite often people are going to be telling you who you are because of what they are seeing, but it really has nothing to do with them.
They're not actually telling the line
Mm-mm.
5 what they are. It's they're seeing themselves something they don't like or they do like, and then they're saying, because that's what they see.
Exactly. And so the life path of a line 5 is about helping others, but it's not just by their actions. It's really just, a lot of it is this energetic influence that is, like I said, that mirror. And it's not really anything they do consciously all the time. It's just simply how the energy works. And so as such, line 5s can sometimes have a difficult time, especially in relationships, because they may feel at certain times that people don't ever really see who they are, don't really see them, so it can be kind of a lonely process because people are just seeing what they, want to see, basically. And this is where the heretic part comes out, because they might think you are the answer to, their issues, or that you can help them, or they see something they want to see, but it's not really you. And if you don't fulfill that role as line 5 that they think you should be fulfilling for them, they'll burn you at the stake, which is what the heretic.
I don't really know what heretic means.
Someone who's burned at the stake. You've heard the term heresy? Heresy?
Yeah, like
not hearsay, but heresy.
Not hearsay. Hearsay, like in the witch trials that they have heresy.
Yeah, it's like a blasphemer.
Blasphemer.
No, they said that basically your reputation can suffer because people will start to speak badly of you. They will try to burn you at the stake, quote unquote, type of thing. But yeah, as a line 5, if you don't fulfill that role for them, they tend to, speak badly of you, turn against you, all those things. You become a heretic.
So formal heresy is the willful and persistent adherence to an error in matters of faith on the part of a baptized person. A Catholic that embraces a form of heresy is considered to have automatically separated his or her soul from the Catholic Church.
But they burned heretics, didn't they?
Let me see.
Yeah, they burned heretics at the stake.
Did they burn? God, that gets creepy when you just search, did they burn heretics? I don't recommend it. First thing it come up with, yes, heretics who refused to confess were burned at the stake.
Right. So you could see how, someone wants something from you. They think you're the answer to their problem, and you're not. And you say you're not, or you just don't act in the way that they want you to. And so, yes, you're burned at the stake. They're like,
burn them alive.
Heretic. Because, so like I said, this makes it difficult because people don't see who you are, really, a lot of times, because it's just a projection of their own consciousness and what they need to work on in order to heal. So unfortunately, this can sometimes lead line 5s to find themselves in the wrong place with the wrong people, which then they end up being the wrong mirror. Because if you can imagine, if someone doesn't have a strong sense of self and what they bring to the table, they could be very easily drawn in because their energy is very seductive to others, because others are like, oh, I want to be this and see that. And
it's all shiny.
And so people could be very complimentary, and they could really bring you in and try to, all these things. And then you find yourself in the wrong situation. Likewise, line 5s, hopefully, understand that power they have and use it for good. Because like I said, it can be a seductive energy. They could also have a way of knowing what people want to hear or see. So it could be a little dangerous. We could look up, so many people are known for that, and see if they're line 5s or not. Let's see. So this is where line 5s really need to rely on their strategy and authority, depending on what that is, because that will help guide them to, what's the correct place, what's the right people for them. And they may find that there are times that in certain relationships, because you can't always just get rid of all your relationships if people have issues with you, right? There could be family things here. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the line 5 will just have to evaluate each relationship. If they continuously have someone who always tends to dump shit on them or tell them that they're the problem, even though they're not, they might have to walk away from that relationship because it's not healthy to them. But they may just have to decide how much they're going to invest in that relationship. But what's important here is quantum human design calls them visionary leaders. This is very much a leadership energy, as you can imagine, because people do want to follow them. They're drawn to them and they have this magnetic quality to them. So there is a lot of power there. And so it's good to be aware of that. And even in the smaller relationships, they, can have kind of a lot of power in the relationship because they do have that seductive energy to them. And because of that projection field, it could take line fives a lot of time in a relationship to feel that they can finally be seen for themselves. So they don't like being vulnerable because they've probably been hurt before. And so in order to feel comfortable and safe, they probably need a little more time to open up to people. It can be seen as a little secretive at times. They don't like to be vulnerable. So when they find the right person, they will slowly reveal their true nature over time. And so in the highest expression of that line 5, like I said, they can effectively influence people in the correct way. And in the lower expression, they can use their power for personal gain.
For evil.
For evil. $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah, you get the idea. So the quantum purpose of the line 5 is to serve as a karmic mirror for others and to support in the healing process through reflection by teaching, sharing the highest possible potential of humanity. Anyway, so line 6, we come to the top of the hexagram, the line 6.
Which it's kind of interesting that it's the top line.
How's that?
What it is. Because you say it's the up on the roof. There's the up on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Aspect of it.
All right, I can see that. Okay, so the line 6 is referred to in traditional human design as the role model, which is one of the kinder ones.
It really is.
In quantum human design, it's the adept. Okay, the adept. Someone is adept.
This is one of the ones where I like the traditional one better than the quantum because I don't really know what adept is.
It's somebody who is pretty much an adept is like established in their knowledge, their field, kind of like not really an expert. They're just like, they are an adept. You gonna look up that one?
No.
You think I'd be looking up? Okay. So the most important thing, like what you were alluding to, the most important thing about the line 6 when they're first digging into their profiles to know that they have a triphasic lifestyle, life cycle, not style, life cycle, meaning there's 3 major cycles, time periods in their life. So phases. And so the first one is basically up until the age of around 28 to 30 years old. It's generally around 29, 30 is where your first Saturn return comes in, is around 29 years old. It takes Saturn 29 years to make a full orbit around the sun. And those first years, first phase, the line 6 lives pretty much like a line 3. It's all very much experiential energy, trying things, learning things, trial and error, exploration, very much line 3. And I know you're a line 6 and you're in this phase now. Mm-hmm. You've tried different places to live. You've had the same partner for a while, so that's not so much. But I've talked to other line 3s who have been who are already
line
either on the
line
roof.
6s.
Oh, line 6. Sorry, line 6s that are already either in the next 1 or 2 phases that, I've heard people be like, oh yeah, I was a Vegas showgirl and, and then I did this and then I sold insurance and next I was, it's just like, whoa, that's a lot. And it doesn't have to be obviously that grand. As I said, you're not that flashy person that has to try all those crazy things, but you're probably open to trying, more experiences. And then phase 2 is when they call it going up on the roof. And this is basically from age 30 to 50-ish. And this is the time between that Saturn return, that first Saturn return around 30. And then around age 50 is your Chiron return. So these are astrological returns. These are not specifically human design terms. These are something you hear about in astrology as well. And they're just different life cycles. But in this second phase of being up in the roof, it's pretty much a time where the line 6 kind of gets over all the doing. It's a time to rest a little. It's a time to kind of pull back in the sense that you don't feel the need to go do all the things and learn all the things. It's a time when a lot of line 6s settle down, have families. They also can start businesses. It's not like a time where because I know from your perspective as a 25-year-old, to hear that you're not going to hit this other role model part of your life until you're almost 50, it's like, what the fuck?
It's a long way from where?
It's a long way. But it's an important phase. That on the roof phase is important because it's a time where you observe a lot of how other people do life. Basically, it's a time to really gather that energy because as you progress through your life and move into the last phase, the quote unquote role model phase, it's about gaining wisdom through life. It's about experimenting and trying, but then also living life and just being a person, and how everything you've learned and how other people do it, how that all kind of melds together. Because then at age 50-ish, when they come off the roof, which I hear a lot of line 6s saying, I don't want to come off the roof. I like it up here. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I got my nice little life going here. But sometimes there is going to be a process of quote unquote off the roof, because you are then here too. Because remember, these upper trigrams. These are about externalizing, right? What you learn or know. And so what you have gained wisdom on, and which is about being yourself and how you express your design, your energies, these archetypes, what it means. You are the example. It's when you come off the roof, it's not like you have to go start a foundation or doing these things to be a role model. You just generally, the way you then live your life according to how it feels correct for you becomes that modeling behaviors for other. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of people hear role model and they think, oh, I'm going to have to be extra special. I'm going to have to make sure I do everything right, because people are going to be looking up to me. Got to be exceptional. And they say a lot of line 6s have that feeling that they have this mission in life that they're here to accomplish. And in a way they do. I think it starts pushing on the line 6 more as they are getting closer and closer to that coming off the roof time, because, about that time you're in your 40s and, you've lived this life, and sometimes there can be pressure there. I know people who have experienced that, because I think that's that pressure to get off the roof and kind of get back involved in life and just kind of be the example and show people, what it means to express these certain themes. Because it's not about what you do as a line 6. It's about who you are and how you be. It's just your existence is the example. So, yeah. And by you being an example of living your best life is what other people need to see in order for them to live their best version of their lives. That's the modeling part. Line 6s in relationships need and deeply desire like a soulmate, they say. It can, if you haven't already found that person by the time you go up on the roof, it can be a little more challenging to maybe find a mate, because there is this kind of withdrawing energy. But just stick with it. Might take some more time to, find out, but the search will be worth it. So I guess the highest expression then, line 6, role models who inspire others, meaning just by who you be, not what you do. And in the lower expression, you can get stuck in that aloofness and being up on the roof and struggle to get back out into the world. So the quantum purpose of the line 6 is to experience and integrate and demonstrate the highest potential of consciousness on the planet, and to quietly show us how to live that way. So putting it all together. So like I said, we have a combination of 2 of these profile lines, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to be those conscious and unconscious parts of your design, like we talked about. We always, just to recap, the first number will always be the conscious side of your personality coming from the right side. And then the second number will always be from the left side. And like I said, there's going to be 12 combinations of these. There's only 12 profiles. And it's really interesting when you break it down, because you can also, having a knowledge of these 6 profile lines, those 6 lines have those same kind of themes through each gate, as well as how they're expressed, like we were talking about. So once you kind of get that information about how it applies to profile, you can start when you're looking at your chart and all the different placements, say even like, Mercury or something is, you may be a 4-1, but your Mercury gate is say 26.2. So you would know that, I'm going to experience these themes more. It's going to be a more interpersonal journey because it's a line 2, right? Or if I have your Saturn placement, Saturn is what they call the teacher, like the disciplinarian. It's like a real lesson that you learn in life. That is the theme. Say if you have it in a line 4, that theme, that lesson you're here to learn is probably going to have a lot to do with other people in your relationship. So getting these foundational information about these profile lines can help you start interpreting your own chart more too, in all the other different placements. That's kind of fun, right?
Yeah. Because they have all those numbers. They're all 2 digits. Well, yeah. But they all have the point. They all have a decimal point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just didn't know what it meant. I was just like, okay, whatever. But then
looks like math.
Saying that it's like, maths.
Yeah.
The mathematics. But then when you just say that the way it's expressed, that is the line that it is a part of. So it'll be expressed in that way somewhat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So how you'll be experiencing that theme a lot. Mm-hmm. It's pretty fun. Yes. So everybody out there, if you're still listening, you might be a line 1. No, I'm just kidding. If you're still listening, I hope that you're looking at your chart now and you can see it differently, and not differently. You can have a little more insight into it, I should say.
Another layer.
And like I said, that Understanding Human Design book by Karen Curry Parker is a really good book that digs into some of that. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that book I mentioned by Cheaton Park is really good because he goes into all 12 profiles individually. And that's a really good reference material to look at that. And if you're like me and you like information, you've probably Googled it, and you can find lots of people's different interpretations. But having that foundational information again about just the 6 lines can help you really look into the different types, not just for yourself, obviously, or the different profiles, but for those around you, and really helps you. I think it helps you see what kind of cool place you have, how you're actually here to serve the whole. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely insightful.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's about it for today, unless you had any other questions about the lines.
Not that I can think of right now.
I doubt that you did. I was pretty thorough. No, just kidding.
It was very line 1 of you.
Too much line 1 of me. It'll be interesting as I go back and see how much information there is about the line 1 and the line 4.
There was definitely a lot of line 1 information.
I just know
but it was good.
More. All right. So this is where we will say goodbye for today. And until next time, bye.
Bye.
Well, you made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Catch you in the next episode.